Radio. Download any of the previous shows of Bishop Strickland. As a matter of fact, you can take all the shows that we have done. We have a new show coming up next week with Charles Cologne, who's all the way in Austria. He'll be doing a new show for us here at Virgin Most Powerful. He's a historian, a very loyal man of the church. He'll be speaking with Bishop Athanasius Snyder coming up at a conference. And so we've got a great crew coming out with a new show, so you can check that out on vmpr.org. Also, I want to thank all you supporters who give us an opportunity to share the gospel with Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Without you, we couldn't do what we're doing. And I know that it's not easy right now, especially in the country where inflation is out of control. Here in California, we're paying $7 a gallon for gas, and I know in other parts of the country they're not. But it's not easy, so we appreciate your sacrificial gifts to vmpr.org. If you want to become a monthly donor, $25 a month gets you hundreds of dollars of downloads of people like Scott Hahn, Tim Staples, all the good guys that are out there teaching, Father Bill Casey. We have 30, 40 years of recordings that we want to share with you. And you can also get The Life of Christ by Archbishop Sheen. I'm really encouraging people to meditate on the life of Christ. And I think that book we put on a recording, it's downloadable for you. And I think that'll help you be inspired, to fall deep in love with Jesus, because I think Fulton Sheen's greatest book is The Life of Christ. And that's on our website at Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Also, I want to encourage people to go to that St. Philip Institute again and get resources there. And again, we'll have Bishop Strickland, God willing, next week to talk more about no one other than the person of Jesus Christ. Bishop Strickland, thanks again for taking the time each week to bless us with the teachings of Christ, not the teachings of Bishop Strickland. Nope, not interested. I want to know what Jesus Christ teaches. That's where we get it, right from the Word of God and then what we call the perennial teachings of the church. And that's what we do here at Virgin Most Powerful, because we realize if souls are saved, everything is saved. But if souls aren't saved, nothing is saved. Thanks again for your support here at Virgin Most Powerful Radio.
Welcome to Back to the Father, a show about the journey of life focused on our final end, which is God Himself, our loving Father. And now, here's your host, Dave Palmer.
And hello and welcome everybody to this edition of Back to the Father here on the Guadalupe Radio Network social media sites. I am Dave Palmer, as Stan just said, along with my wonderful cast of co-hosts and new person running the board today. Manny Ortiz is here doing his best Diane Xavier imitation. So glad to have Manny with us. He is our new production manager of the GRN. I think that's your title, right? Okay, yes. And he produces our program called A Life Lived Joyfully that runs every Monday through Friday during the 3 o'clock Central Time hour. So welcome to Manny, and also to Sissel and William here in studio. Sissel, I kind of threw you for a loop last week by kind of a little.
Yes, you did. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, like a little fake. But anyways, how you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, I mean it's Friday. Fridays are always good, and for multiple reasons. Back to the Father, and because it's Friday.
Yeah, I think the show would have a different dynamic if we did it on a Monday or Wednesday, because especially kind of after the hump of the day on Friday, you're kind of in the.
We like to use some of our last brain cells for this show. That's what he's trying to say, basically.
Is that a tagline?
Yes.
I like that.
So discussing Aquinas with our last brain cells.
Brain cells, right. So anyways, any news, anything you want to share with our viewing audience before we move on to William?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
You
know what I'm doing tonight?
I'll believe anything.
Like late tonight or early tomorrow, depending on how you want to look at it.
I know what you should be doing, but I'm not sure what you are doing.
I think I should be doing, what you're thinking, is that what I'm going to actually be doing is better.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
See, tomorrow there's the Blessed Carl symposium.
Yeah, it's not happening at the time that I'm doing the thing that I'm doing.
I know. But tonight, and you probably don't even know this, and so that's
I do know. It's the young adult mingling thing.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to your broadcast this morning, Dave.
That's right. Yeah, you were running the board. So they've got this event, and last night I went to an event, and I just happened to be sitting next to the guy who's hosting this. I don't do a lot of single activities these days for obvious reasons.
Good to know. Yeah.
So it had made no impact on my life. And, William, of course, is too young for this kind of stuff. But Sissel, she's right in that perfect age group. But anyways, okay, that's what you should be doing. What are you actually doing?
I'm actually going to adoration at 2 a.m.
All of a sudden, my thing seems really, really shallow. Okay, 2 a.m.
2 a.m. So my parish once a month has 24-hour adoration. And 2 weeks ago, it seemed like a great idea to sign up for 2 a.m. because it just seemed like, spend time with Jesus in the middle of the night. Now, it's still a good idea. It sounds like it's going to hurt a little bit more. Because I also
why 2 a.m.? Why not, midnight or 11?
I think because we want it to be as crazy as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because also not very many people sign up for those hours. And we're young. We can wreck our bodies and sleep. It's totally fine. Mm-hmm. So a group of us are doing it. And then I have a morning of reflection.
You know what almost rhymes with young?
What?
Dumb.
Yeah.
Almost. Not quite, but I think, to be honest with you, I think there's something really cool. It sounds kind of stupid word, but kind of almost vibey, to just get up in the middle of the night and go and worship. There is something different, when you. I don't know. It's just a whole different feeling, and there's peace. There's not a lot of cars all over the place, and noise. I think it's great what you're doing.
So,
but you could have done both. You could have done my event and also the adoration.
I suppose I could have.
I think that my event will be the one I'm talking about. Will be over by 2.
You think? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Well, crazy single people. You never know, but I think it'll probably be over by 2. Yeah, most likely.
That's hysterical. Yeah.
All right. So that is Sissel, what she's doing and what she's not doing, and over here we have William. I almost called you William von Weber-Hansberg. I got this Austria-Hungary thing on my mind because of Blessed Carl.
Kidding.
William Crookendall. How you doing, William? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. Good to see you, too.
All right. I got to admit, I got to tell you 30 minutes ago, I said, William, you got trivia? And he's like, I don't know. Did you actually dig something up?
I searched the web and I found something. Yes.
See, William's so smart. He doesn't go out of his way to have 50 questions, and he doesn't overcomplicate it. He just gets.
He's not Dave.
Just one question.
Well, actually, today.
Wait a second. How did I get brought into this?
I don't know.
All right.
It sounded like you were describing somebody.
Oh. Okay.
Actually, for the record, I have more than one question.
Oh, okay.
What?
Okay.
I mean, I went to one website, but I have more than one question.
You have 2 or 3?
I think probably 3.
See, I'm learning personalities, you guys. Like Jonathan will always say, I don't have anything, and then he makes something up at the last second.
Oh, yeah.
You always say you're going to have one, but then 9 times out of 10, you actually have more than one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, very good. Well, the topic today, interestingly, is sins of the flesh, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, in the section of the Summa on temperance. And I got to admit, sometimes I just something hits me, and I don't always know the rhyme or reason of why I pick a particular topic. But for some reason, I thought that talking about gluttony and fornication, or premarital sex, and drunkenness would be good. And then I was thinking yesterday that the 13th. Yesterday was the feast. Well, I don't know if it's a feast, but it's a celebration of the 6th and final apparition of Fatima, when the sun danced. And so I was thinking about, there's a line from Our Lady of Fatima, and she said, more souls go to hell because of the sins of the flesh than for any other reason. Which is interesting because the sins of the flesh are not the worst sins. According to St. Thomas Aquinas, which this whole show is based on, the worst sins would be unbelief, despair, and hatred of God. Okay, because when the object of that is God, and so it's kind of like it would be worse to harm the president than to harm the guy down the street because it's a more noble person or a high, so when you do it, when you have an offense against God, it's the worst of all sins. And a sin like gluttony or fornication or drunkenness is not directly against God. So why would, and I have my guesses, but I'll throw it out to you and everybody out there watching. Why would Our Lady of Fatima say more souls go to hell because of the sins of the flesh, like the ones we're talking about today, than any other reason? What do you think? Why do you think that would be?
I think probably because they're because of the concupiscence we have, it kind of draws us more into those types of things, the fleshly pleasures. People are not going to I feel like there's more of a drawing towards the sins of the flesh than people maybe taking the Lord's name in vain, for instance. Like the first 3 commandments are like the strictest ones. Like
about God.
There's a specific order, and those are. And I heard that that people will suffer more in hell for those sins than all of the other 8 or 7 commandments. So there's some on different levels, but I think the sins of the flesh, we're more kind of drawn to those because of concupiscence, but the other ones are not as are more rare. Like we don't do those as much. We're not as drawn towards them.
To it. Yeah. Okay. Because of our concupiscible nature. And they're also very pleasurable things that, Aquinas would say the reason why we eat. And of course, the sexual activity is because we have to keep ourselves alive and we want to keep our species going, right? So they're very natural things, but they also can be abused, through concupiscence. Right. Any other? That's a good guess. I got a different thought. Not that there's only one answer, but would you anything else?
I kind of was thinking along William's lines, and also Victor commented that sins of the flesh feel good, gluttony, sloth, it's very comfortable. I was thinking something like that. I think it is easier to fall into those sins than the other ones, because, especially in today's day and age, I think it's much easier to kind of fall into them. So,
see, I think that,
and also, I was going to say, I think it's easier to fall into habitual sin with them than others. Yeah,
that's definitely true. I think also when you what y'all are saying, it's very easy to fall into these sins because it's easy to get drunk or easy to because we're naturally drawn to pleasure.
I like how we always say it's easy to get drunk. Alcohol's too expensive. I
mean, it's just like it's I'm saying it's easy in the sense that we're naturally inclined.
Right,
it makes your I don't know. It's maybe that's not the right way of saying it, but
no. I
think when you fall into the sins of the flesh, it's easy to, those are kind of like the door that leads into greater sins. Because if you become addicted to something that's improper sexually or drinking or gluttony, you don't want to acknowledge the one who's telling you not to do it. Okay. Right. And who's telling you not to do it is the church through God, right? So I think it's like a gateway. Okay. But to y'all's point, it's the easiest thing. And then all of a sudden, it opens the door to greater sins because all of a sudden, I want to keep eating. I want to keep, having affairs. I want to keep, getting drunk. And by golly, this church is telling me not to do that. So what are we going to do? I forget the church and forget the God who's established the church. And so that's why
a good point.
I think it's a slippery slope. Let's just say. Yeah. And it also kind of degenerates us into beastliness because it's the sins of the flesh are basically taking away our reason and making us act like animals, and we're not
able to discipline ourselves.
But they're very difficult. Any other guesses out there? Why would Our Lady of Fatima say the more people are in hell because of the sins of the flesh, even though they are not the greatest sins? Like I said, the 3 greatest sins are the ones that oppose the theological virtues of faith, hope, and charity. And, blasphemy would be one of the greatest sins. And heresy, anything that directly, goes against God or the church.
or violates the first 3 commandments.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and a lot of these sins that we're talking about today, they may seem what the culture would call victimless crimes. If I sit in my room and get drunk, hey, who did I hurt?
Right.
But again, I think for reasons I've explained, it's sinful. In fact,
Right.
it's mortally sinful. Interestingly, though, I want to make a distinction here about gluttony, and I want to read this paragraph because I think Thomas's view on gluttony is a little bit different. I'll throw the question out to everybody. What do you think you would have to do to sin mortally with gluttony? Of course, gluttony has to do with the sins of
Sin mortally,
eating,
oof.
and I think drinking could be gluttony as well.
Well, there's a lot of things that could ultimately be gluttony.
Yeah,
I
you can
feel
be
like.
gluttonous about a lot of things.
About any
but-
habit that's not great. Because obviously food is good for you. It sustains you. But I think it's when you go a step beyond past what you actually need. When you go too far, like, okay, maybe you didn't need 3 pieces of pizza. I don't know if that's considered a gluttony if you had 3 instead of 2. But I think, I don't know. Is it going like just too far?
Yeah.
Let's say that, let me give a concrete example. If you go to the all-you-can-eat buffet at whatever, Golden Corral or whatever, and you clearly eat too much, and you consciously eat too much, and you just, and you walk away and you're just hobbling away. Okay, have you sinned mortally through that action of clearly eating more than what you should eat? Would you say that in and of itself is a mortal sin? Is that gluttony to the?
Yeah.
William and I are like,
yeah, you're like, okay, I think that's a trick question.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
don't overanalyze it.
it's most definitely a venial sin.
It's
I don't
definitely a
know if-
sin. That's
yeah,
what I'm
it's
trying-
definitely a sin. I just don't.
But what makes it a mortal sin? And anybody out there watching,
Yeah,
if you
anyone
want to
bail us out
take a
today?
guess at this, Victor, come on, my man,
by the way, earlier Monica said that we are, I think, going on the idea of why did this was at Fatima. We are selfish and mostly good people. So maybe it's the idea that these sins of the flesh sometimes. Oh, it's like, well, we're mostly good most of the time. I don't treat anyone badly, sort of idea. I think is what she's indicating there.
Okay.
think,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's what we say to ourselves. Is
Yeah.
that so I got this one addiction, or I'm
Yeah.
doing this, but I am a good person. That kind of thing. Yeah. Good point, Monica.
Especially with those ones that don't, quote unquote, hurt anybody, which is kind of a lie. But anyhow, we won't get into that.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the culture is telling us there's a lot of victimless crimes. And
Right.
I don't think anybody talks about gluttony, and that's what we were talking about on CBT this morning. Is that
We talked about that a
when's the
while
last
ago.
time? I mean, it's kind of awkward to a priest to talk about gluttony because you're going to have some people in the congregation that are clearly,
Right.
Whereas you could talk about other sins, like you talk about pornography, and nobody has a hat saying
I watch
I watch
pornography.
pornography.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think some
We
of
had
these
a conversation,
things,
didn't we, a couple months ago on Back to the Father, where you said, when was the last time you said in confession, confess gluttony?
Oh,
and
yeah,
I said that I did, but just to cover my bases usually. But I did.
just a good.
I did.
just
I was
list
like,
them
I
all,
wasn't
huh?
sure if this was considered gluttony this time, but I did.
Well, listen to what Aquinas says here. The first slide there, William, he says, okay, well, whether gluttony is a mortal sin is the question. Accordingly, if the inordinate concupiscence in gluttony be found to turn man away from the last end, gluttony will be a mortal sin.
Interesting.
This is the case when he adheres to the pleasure of gluttony as his end, for the sake of which he contemns God, being ready to disobey God's commandments in order to obtain those pleasures. On the other hand, if the inordinate concupiscence in the vice of gluttony be found to affect only such things as are directed to the end, for instance, when a man has too great a desire for the pleasure of the palate, yet would not for their sake do anything contrary to God's law, it's a venial sin. Okay, so now this is a
Can
little
we get some
confusing to me.
translation here?
Yeah,
I'm a little
I'm
confused.
really lost too, and I'm reading.
You're reading it and you're still
like, still
confused.
confused.
Well, see, I'm a little confused by it as well because it sounds, and the other...
No, you can't be confused,
No.
Dave. You're the teacher.
Okay, well, hold on. Okay, I'm not confused. I got this under control, okay? Now, the other thing, and Joe brought this up on the Catholic Drive Time this morning, and not that it plays into this, but Thomas had the reputation for being overweight. Okay, I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, no, I know.
Now, if Adrian thinks it's bogus, he said he's seen pictures and drawings of Thomas where he's very thin, but for some reason that got passed down, and Adrian said it was.
I don't know. Was there some back in the day Photoshop happening? Was he like, hey, can you take a few pounds off when you're doing this picture of me?
Trim me down a little bit. Okay, so I think okay. Let's take it one sentence at a time. If the inordinate concupiscence and gluttony be found to turn man away from the last end, gluttony will be a mortal sin.
Translation, please.
So if it turns man away from the last end is God, the last end is heaven, right? So if, and again, do you have to consciously do that? So I'm at Golden Crown. I just had my third plate of, fried catfish and tartar sauce but I'm not consciously saying, I love this more than God, but then what if in my conscience, my conscience says, hey, Dave, tap the brakes there, buddy. This is not right. Mm-hmm. And then I still do it. Oh. Am I contemning God?
So if you're consciously, it's kind of not just like being careless, but like there's that moment where you're like, I should probably stop, but then you continue going kind of idea.
Okay. Or if let's just say you're at a party and everybody's having fun and you're having another piece of cake and we're talking and carrying on and they bring around some appetizers. Oh yeah, I'll have another one. And then by the end of the night you're like,
oh, I think I ate a lot of those meatballs.
Yeah. They brought up meatballs. Yeah. Yeah, and you're like, whoa, I really overate. So, but again, even in a case where, and again, this is where I don't exactly know the answer, and maybe somebody out there can help us out here. How consciously do you have to say, I like this, bowl of meatballs more than my final end? I mean, that's ridiculous. Who's going to say that?
Yeah.
But, but I know that in my life I have done things and I've said, God, I'm sorry. I know this is mortal sin, but I'm going to do it anyways. I mean, that I haven't said it out loud, but
right, but it's
that's in my mind.
It's the feeling, yeah.
So I guess it has to be something in your conscience, something. Mm-hmm. If your conscience is pricked and you are like, dude, I mean, stop eating, stop drinking. This is too much, and you still do it.
That would make it a mortal sin.
Yeah, that's how I interpret it.
Also, Victor had commented earlier when you were asking the question originally. No, not at one time, but it would have to be continually overeating and eating in a luxurious way, meaning being picky. So I think he's saying if it's a kind of like a more of a habitual problem, it becomes a habitual problem.
I think
Victor,
you were watching CDT this morning. I think Victor does, because Adrian brought up that point, and it's this next line in the same slide. Isidore comprises the first and second under one heading when he says that the glutton exceeds in what he eats, how much he eats, how he eats, or when he eats. Okay, so there's all these different qualifications. And Adrian brought up the fact that if you're a picky eater, like, I must only have caviar, or I'm not going to eat that.
That's what I say every day.
In that accent, right?
Exactly like that. 100%.
Well, I mean, if you're so picky, or I don't know. I know people who just will not eat healthy food, just eating potato chips and Skittles, and I mean, that's got to be sinful in itself. So,
well, yeah, it's also, that's my mom was that mom who at every single birthday party growing up, she did the talk before everyone rushed for the food.
Oh, really?
Because we always would have fun food, like finger food, mozzarella sticks, that kind of thing. And everyone's running, and she's like, all right, stop first. We're going to pray. But she goes, do not overstuff your plate. I don't want to find half-eaten plates of food later on. She goes, as you do the whole "there's starving children in the world" thing, like don't, in China, exactly, in China, in the world, and she's just like, do not waste this food. Only eat what you can, and you can always come back for more, but only take what you're actually going to eat.
And kids are notorious
I was
for
really
that.
Bad at this.
I'll tell you, it kind of chaps me a little bit because you go out and you buy a $25 cake, and I want a piece, and then they all run outside and they've taken one bite.
Oh, of course. The food actually at birthday parties for most kids doesn't mean much.
Like my daughter went out with her friends to Texas Roadhouse or something, and I was paying for it, and I wasn't there, and I said, they only order what you can eat. because the
Or if you're
the
going to
eyes
order
are bigger
more
than
than
the stomach.
Sometimes some of these proportions though are massive, and I
Yeah.
always am like, well, this is 2 meals now. I'm taking it home. I don't like it. If my friends aren't taking their food home, I'm like, I'm taking it home. We're not wasting this.
Yeah, but you have a good. You haven't had a good mom. I say that in 2 tenses because, of course, she's passed away, but she's still with you.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I think that was good advice. All right, next slide. Thomas asks about the 6 daughters of gluttony. This is what he refers to daughters when it's things that are associated with gluttony. And I don't have 6 of them here because I think I missed a paragraph. But and this is another reason why I think these sins of the flesh are bad, is that they just lead to other bad
Open the doors.
habits. They
Yes.
open the door not only to higher sins, but even to like lesser ones. Like these, I have them highlighted in red: dullness of sense and understanding. Okay, unseemly joy. Somebody's eating, they're just like acting like fools, they're filling their belly, and they're just acting like idiots, especially when they're drinking. I mean, goodness, they're going to act like complete idiots. And then he says, I love this. Wine gives everyone a confident and joyful mind. but I think he means that negatively. Is that maybe it could be positive in moderation. Is that you drink a glass of wine and you're chill and all that, but then you keep drinking and then and then he says inordinate words, loquaciousness. How many times have people eat too much, you drink too much, and all of a sudden you're rambling and saying stupid things and talking
Saying more
too
than
much.
you want to say, more than you should say.
Yeah.
Like people who go on sugar highs,
Do you have experience with this, William?
Oh yeah, a lot.
That's a little
All the pixie sticks just going down.
autobiographical there. And then, you ever heard this word, scurrility?
I have now.
Scurrility, I
Scurrility.
think, is just kind of like rashness. You just become...
Like a squirrel.
no.
No, okay. It just
No,
sounds like a squirrel.
I don't think it has anything to do with squirrels.
Well, dang it.
That would be like with a Q-U.
Yes, I
squirrel.
know. I saw the word after I said the squirrel
Yeah.
thing,
Oh,
but
okay.
it does sound like a squirrel. Come on, it sounds like squirrels.
Yeah, it sounds like squirrel. But no, just like... what's the word? You're just unpleasant. You just get because I think when people eat a lot, they become very dependent upon it. They want more food, and it becomes very addictive, and they just become kind of nasty to be around. Okay.
Sure.
All right, so that is gluttony, and I don't know if there's any
And
other
real quick,
comments.
yes, there was
before we
another
move
one. Victor had also said maybe thinking another reason why it could be sinful is I know I shouldn't eat this 5th piece of cake, but I can just confess it and get forgiveness too. They're kind of thinking about like,
And that's presumption.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
That's another
presumption
sin.
of God's
Yeah.
mercy right there. Yeah.
It's a presumption. I mean, it's the same thing for all sins. If
Yeah,
you
exactly,
presume
exactly.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
bueno.
And Thomas talks about presumption in the Summa as well, and also about talks about something. It's a hard word to pronounce. Pusillanimity. Have you ever heard
I think you did it perfectly.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
I appreciate that.
No, I never heard the word before.
Pusillanimity just means where you don't give yourself enough credit for what you can do. It's like overly meek. Meekness is a virtue, right? But if you're kind of what do they say? For false humility? Oh, I don't think I could do that. Or you're not. God's
right.
given you certain abilities, because presumption means you assume too much.
Right.
Like I assume. Oh, I'm sure I'll be forgiven for this. Right. So you're giving yourself too much credit for what you
Right.
expect to happen. Pusillanimity is the opposite.
Yeah.
It means you're not giving yourself enough credit.
But also in that too, sometimes people could be like, "Oh, I'm not good at this," or "I don't look good in this," and everyone's automatically like, "No, you are."
Fishing for compliments.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You said
like
this
it
is
could be
a
that too.
section in the Summa?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it's next week's show, right?
You're a little early in the show to be. Did you predict this one, or you predicted something else?
I
Didn't you?
predicted the ones we talked about eschatology. And the
Yeah, okay.
Antichrist.
You're always looking for that opening, right? That opportunity. Okay, so all right, let's move on to drunkenness, and I think the drunkenness one is very key. Whether drunkenness is a sin. And why, and I know we've talked about this a little bit in the last 24 hours. So you turn off her microphone. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
So why would drunkenness be a sin? And I'm trying to, of course, when I was growing up, and your parents, I'm sure, have said, hey, you're not allowed to. I mean, drunkenness is a sin,
Right.
regardless if you're 17 or
Yeah, it doesn't matter your
50,
age.
55. But you shouldn't. You don't drink at all.
Right.
But I'm trying to think of what my parents would have said as far as why getting drunk is bad. And I think most people would say, then you drive and you can get into an accident, or like you're saying, you say stupid stuff, or you make bad decisions, or. But what do you think Thomas would say? Like, why is drunkenness wrong? Well, let's see if anybody out there in social media
Victor
land knows.
commented, but I'm not allowed to speak, so someone else.
You hold a grudge, Sissel?
Someone else can.
No, your mic wasn't turned off, so you can.
Sweet. Thanks, Manny. I knew he was my friend. Victor says drunkenness because you lose the use of reason and your senses are also altered.
Yeah.
But there's, I think St. Thomas goes even deeper than that, than just simply your senses being altered and losing the sense of reason.
Yeah, well, but he's got it on the first one. The main thing, and let me go ahead and go to that slide. Drunkenness is a mortal sin because then a man willingly and knowingly deprives himself of the use of reason, whereby he performs virtuous deeds and avoids sin. So Victor really kind of got the whole thing, is that Thomas says our highest function is our intellect, and it is, heaven is defined as knowledge of God. And of course, whatever you know, to know God is to love God. And, the ant and the aardvark and the turtle and the squirrel, there's a squirrel reference.
Thank you.
They can't know God. They can't reason. They can't understand things. And so this is like the greatest gift that a great gift that we've been given. We're one of 8.7 million species of creatures in the world. Only one visible species of creatures can reason. And then we go and do something that takes that away. The greatest thing that we've gotten that distinguishes us from all the other visible creatures in the world.
We want to destroy it.
And then we run off, and the first chance we basically, we maybe not take it away, but we diminish its capacity. So and then we're much more likely to fall into the other sins.
Sure.
Because if you're drunk, you're probably going to eat too much. You're more likely to fall into sexual sin, do stupid stuff, crash your car into bridges.
Can murder somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sure took a dark
Sorry.
turn.
That's true. You get into an accident, you can
I
kill
did
somebody.
say drive into a bridge, so that was
that indicates that someone might not come out of that alive. Saying.
I'm just saying, Yeah, okay.
That's a sin.
yeah, without a doubt. So, okay, Ambrose says, we learn that we should shun drunkenness, which prevents us from avoiding grievous sins. For the things we avoid when sober, we unknowingly commit through drunkenness. Therefore, drunkenness, properly speaking, is a mortal sin. And and I think some people use drunkenness as an excuse to sin mortally, because they use the excuse and Thomas even addresses this, is if you commit, like let's use your dark example, you get really inebriated and you run off and you kill somebody, which never,
even if you kill yourself,
never is right. You kill yourself,
and
do you have culpability for that sin because you probably wouldn't have done it when you were if you weren't drunk?
Yeah,
right.
So you're kind of like piling on the mortal sins. And I think there is some lack of culpability for that one, but then you've still got a mortal sin in your soul. So
sure, you're already
I feel like it's it's kind of more of a mortal sin than gluttony is. Like, it's easier to commit the sin of drunkenness than gluttony, I feel like, because like what you said of the of being conscious of the gluttony, it's a little bit harder to pull back on that than it is on the drunkenness.
Yeah.
Usually,
interesting.
Oh, Manny's got a comment.
Manny's jumping into the show.
Well, yeah, I would say that it's even that it's it's faster. It's quick, right? Gluttony usually takes time, in a sense. But
So it's easier, you mean?
Yeah. So like with drinking, that's like right there and then it opens up the door to sinning. A lot faster. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or
you could have gluttony once off, like do it and be like, oh, I went too far that time, and not have too many massive consequences that day per se, and then you just like in the future, whereas with drunkenness you could immediately have something.
I guess if we're talking about
and on the other hand, though, I mean, we have to eat, we don't have to drink alcohol. That's true. Right?
Exactly.
So you're gonna be eating hamburgers and hot dogs and Twinkie bars probably from the time you're 3 or 4, whereas most people probably won't start drinking until they get quite a bit older. So I don't know.
When it comes to drunkenness, so let's say you're a new 21-year-old, you're out, maybe we're out with friends and you have a drink and you don't realize which, like, okay, had 2 drinks and you realize you have a really low alcohol tolerance. Like, when does this become a mortal sin? Is it when you're conscious? Is it only when you consciously are like, I'm going out, I'm going to drink a lot and I'm not going to care about how much I drink. I'm not really paying attention. I'm just going to keep throwing them back. Or, like, when does that
Keep throwing.
I clearly don't go out and drink.
Yeah, you know this lingo a little too well. So
no. Wow.
Thanks. No,
that's what I'm wondering too.
Yeah, I think, and it's such a like a spectrum where, even if a person has one beer, it's gonna have a little impact on them. They're gonna feel a little bit more relaxed. But I think once it starts to impair you, then you got to stop. But in your situation, in your example, the person is kind of figuring this out for the first time, and so it's clearly invincible ignorance that they didn't know this was going to happen.
They know, I really need to be careful now. I know.
I had a situation, where I ordered what I had no idea was a very, very high alcohol content beer, actually at a Catholic radio conference.
Good job.
And I can easily drink 2 or 3 beers, and it's not that big of a deal. But beer has different alcohol content.
Yeah.
You can go all the way from like maybe 4%. Some beer will have 10 or 11% alcohol, and I mean those are really, really high level. I had no idea that these had such a high level of alcohol, and after a few of them, and somebody was like buying me a drink, but I still confessed it.
Oh yeah, just be safe.
Just be safe. I still confessed it, but it was not. I had no intentional.
My sister has a very, very, she's watching, sorry, Tova. I'm throwing you under the bus here. Has a terrible alcohol tolerance. And she's learned she has to absolutely have a full meal if she's drinking anything. She drinks a very small amount. She has to share a drink. She can't even have her own drink because she starts feeling dizzy. And she's like, nope. She's like, nope.
Yeah,
but she had to learn that.
We should talk about all the drinking habits of all the people who are watching this right now. Victor, I'll tell you, I went out drinking with Victor one time, and my goodness. No, I'm kidding,
saying,
Victor. I've never met Victor.
Yeah, I feel like you really don't. I really don't feel like most people need to have more than one. I mean, I had a non-alcoholic beer once. It tastes a lot like beer just without the alcohol. I got some of that from Trader Joe's once, and I had one, and I was full. I was like, I don't really need to drink any more of this, even if it's not alcohol. I mean, I'm full, so I don't feel like there's especially with those who get drunk easily, there's really no point in having more than one.
Yeah. The interesting thing also is that every moral virtue is accompanied by an intellectual virtue. So like if you have the virtue of temperance that controls how much you drink or how much you eat, you also have to have prudence that accompanies the moral virtue, because prudence has to come in and apply reason to the moral virtue. And so you
also could have a tight budget where it doesn't allow you to have more than one drink.
But if you're like, gosh, if I only had $20, I'd buy this 12-pack and drink it all tonight. Then you've already sinned, and you didn't even get a drink.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
just by having the intention to do it.
That's the intention.
And you don't even get to take your first sip.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a pretty interesting little conversation there. Thank you. Let's move on to the next one, which has to do with fornication. Now, I love this one. Of course, fornication has to do with extramarital sexual relations, and I was curious about what would Aquinas say why this is wrong? Of course, he's going to say it's a mortal sin. And it's interesting the way he starts this off. I have a couple of paragraphs I'm going to read, but any guess? Because I think nowadays in our culture, it's like, as long as two people love each other, and it's and they don't have to be married, and
like love is love.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be opposite sex. And I mean, in our culture today, it's just wide open.
It's just crazy.
It's basically as long as it's consensual, it's like anything goes, right? But Aquinas is going to come down very hard, saying, of course, I don't think I think homosexuality would have been very rare. It existed
back then. It was
but it wasn't like today.
Nothing like today,
right? Yeah. So he's primarily talking about heterosexual fornication here, and why is it a sin according to 13th century St. Thomas Aquinas? Anybody out there want to take a guess about what Thomas's main point is? And this kind of surprised me a little bit in a good way. All right. Does anybody want to?
I'm also probably not allowed to speak again, all right?
So you're using that as an excuse when you don't know the answer, right? Oh, I'm not allowed.
I know the answer.
I'm not allowed to speak. Oh, you do know the answer.
We talked about it yesterday.
Right. Oh, okay. I thought you were making sure.
Sorry, William. I get a preview class. I don't know if you knew that. I get preview class. No, I'm joking.
All right. Everybody's being very quiet, including Victor.
They also have to wait for the delay, Dave, and then for a lot of time to type. It's not always their fault.
Okay. What is I cheated, a sin against the child? I'm not sure what that Forrest. I'm not sure what that comment means. Yeah, that. I'm sorry, Forrest. I don't.
A sin against the child. Isn't that what?
Okay. It says I cheated a sin. Okay.
He's saying I think he looked it up.
Oh, I cheated a sin against. Oh, okay.
Hey, what count?
Yeah, I totally misread that. But you're absolutely right, Forrest. Okay, but you cheated. So okay, so you get no credit.
But he says it goes against the natural law that God designs for sex too. That's his comment too.
Oh, okay. Forrest was listening this morning. Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
All right. That's good.
And Victor didn't have the answer today.
He did not have the answer. Okay, so get this. It's a little bit long, but I think it's worth it. He says without any doubt. Okay, so he didn't use that language with the other one. So he's like
he just want to make sure in case I wasn't clear before.
Yeah, the other one I'm kind of doubting about. But this one, he said we must hold simple fornication to be a mortal sin. In order to make this evident, we must take note that every sin committed directly against human life is a mortal sin. Now, simple fornication implies an inordinateness that tends to injure the life of the offspring to be born of this union. For we find in all animals where the upbringing of the offspring needs care of both male and female, that these come together not indeterminately, but the male and with a certain female, whether one or several. Such is the case with all birds. And while on the other hand, among those animals where the female alone suffices for the offspring's upbringing, the union is indeterminate, as is the case with dogs and like animals. This is very interesting how he's comparing it to the irrational creatures. Now it is evident that the upbringing of a human child requires not only the mother's care for his nourishment, but much more the care of his father as guide and guardian, and under whom he progresses in goods both internal and external. I don't know if I'd agree. I think the two are so important. I mean, I don't know that the father is more important than the mother, but I think they're both very important. Hence, human nature rebels against an indeterminate union of the sexes and demands, look at that language, he rebels and demands that a man should be united to a determinate woman and should abide with her a long time or even the whole lifetime. Hence it is that the human race, that the male has a natural solicitude for the certainty of offspring, because on him devolves the upbringing of the child, and this certainly would cease if the union of sexes was indeterminate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Makes sense.
A lot of big words, but that makes sense.
It makes sense more
makes
than gluttony.
Okay, that first one, you guys were blanking on.
Hey, he was the sentences did not make sense before, but this one did.
This one did, yes, for
He
sure.
was very firm, very understanding. I don't think we hear that argument very often, that it's for the sake of the child that you're potentially creating.
I know.
It's more often, you hear more, I've heard a lot of, like, in chastity talks, stuff like that, is particularly like for women, you get very attached to someone you have sex with, so it's like just by your biology, and so it could be very harmful for her psychology and stuff like that. That's one thing besides the obvious mortal sins and stuff like that. But.
And think about it. I mean, contraception is wrong, and it's against the teachings of the Catholic Church. But most of the people, if they contracept, they hardly. I've never heard anybody say, I'm contracepting because I don't think it would be fair to bring a child into the world. Like that's never the reason. Not that would matter. I mean, it's still wrong.
Right.
But they always say it's always from their selfish standpoint. Like, I don't want a child, or they might just say, we don't, at best, we don't want to, have another child, or I don't want to get pregnant. It's always I.
Yeah.
But Thomas is saying nothing about the couple.
He's saying, like, you got no say in this.
Yeah. He's saying, so anyways, the next slide, this will be the last one. It says the union with a certain definite woman is called matrimony, which for the above reason is said to belong to the natural law, which is interesting. It's part of the natural law. Since, however, the union of the sexes is directed to the common good of the whole human race, and common goods depend on the law for their determination, it follows that this union of man and woman, which is called matrimony, is determined by some law. Wherefore, since fornication is an indeterminate union of the sexes, as something incompatible with matrimony, it is opposed to the good of the child's upbringing, and consequently, it is a mortal sin. So he keeps hammering on this. It's about the child. And I mean, how often, even in today's culture. I know, like, I've heard people like Candace Williams and other Black conservative leaders say the biggest crisis in Black families is fatherlessness, where mothers are raising kids by themselves. And this is exactly, I mean, they're talking about this 750 years ago in the Summa. I mean, and not just in the Black community, but in communities in large. And also the fact that it hurts civil society when people don't get married and have children in a nuclear family, and they're just.
I mean, the generations that like William and I are growing up in, it's, I think, almost more likely that most of our friends will have divorced parents. Most people, will have divorced parents or not have a parent.
I know.
It's and just the amount of issues of not having that family structure that passes down to the kids then, like, a lot of people I know who've had these issues and stuff like that have to be in a lot of therapy and things like that. It's really bad. It's really bad. It's really messed up a generation.
Yeah, and, society's gone crazy.
And some people would say, well, 50, 60, 70 years ago, the couples were staying together even though it was a horrible marriage and that, they didn't love each other and that's horrible for the kids too. Yeah, of course, that may be true in some cases, but I think still...
I don't think throwing it out the window is the way to go with it. Let's just have no marriage.
And I've heard, divorce can be very contagious. I've heard of, like, in office buildings where one person gets divorced and then people, then other people start getting divorced. It can become very trendy. Now, this last paragraph I find pretty interesting. And if you all have any comments out there, please let us know what you think about this. He says, now I think he's addressing like the guy who will say, well, let me see. I'll just read it and you tell me. Nor does it matter if a man having knowledge of a woman by fornication, of course, knowledge means, sexual, make provision for the upbringing of the child. So he's saying basically, I'll have a child with her. I'll take care of the child. I'll pay for the child. I'll put the child through school. I'm not going to live with them. I mean, come on. But I'll still take care of them, right? Because a matter that comes under the determination of the law is judged according to what happens in general and not according to what may happen in a particular case. So he's basically saying, there may be some guy who, wants to take care of the kid, but not marry the woman or maybe live together, but he's saying you can't look at particular cases. You have to have general laws because it falls under the natural law. So, anyways, that's that.
Oh, all right.
Okay, well, so
and time.
Right in time. So. All right, well, let's see. Do we have any? Okay, I see an amen. That's not bad. Okay, so anyways, Forrest and Victor, and thanks everybody for the comments
Monica was
today.
Joining us today earlier too.
Yeah,
as
Monica.
Well. I don't know if she's still here, but hi, Monica.
Yeah,
if you are.
I know
and Buddy is on Facebook.
Oh, is he?
Yep,
oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, Buddy. Good to hear from you.
And I don't think anyone's on Twitter except for me. But I'm on Twitter.
Yeah, what's the deal with Twitter?
I never understand Twitter. I don't go on Twitter very much at all.
How can this be that we're on Twitter, but
and there's no viewers?
It doesn't
See, that's what I don't know.
Do they know that you're a host?
Maybe there's 1,000 viewers and we just don't
Unlikely.
know.
Can they comment on Twitter?
Hey, let me dream. That's the thing is I feel like they used to when it was Periscope. I think was what was Twitter's old streaming was, but it's not that anymore. And so I now don't know how people would reach us on Twitter except for like tweeting at us.
Because Twitter doesn't know.
I don't understand Twitter. I think I should make that clear.
They don't know that we're the people on that camera, right?
I really, really hope not.
Yeah,
that'd be creepy.
Yeah. So why aren't we registering?
Yeah, because I'm looking at my from my personal account.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone is watching on Twitter. I don't know how, but yay, hey, and Mark's here too on YouTube.
Oh, Mark Lowe.
Mark Lowe.
All right, hey Mark.
He comes. He said it comes in with a heart and a rose emoji.
Oh, well, that's nice.
That's very nice.
That's nice to match your keyboard.
Exactly.
All right.
Keyboard.
Everybody's got to see Sissel's keyboard. Look at this. Okay, hey, let me. What does everybody think of when they see this? What's the first thing that we're departing a little bit from the Summa, by the way?
Someone tunes in right now.
What's the
first
thing that comes to your mind when you see that? Because 3 or 4 of us said the exact same thing the moment we saw it. And let's see if anybody gets it. There's actually the other one that I mentioned before the show today. Don't you think that also applies? The keyboard looks like makeup palette. Okay, I got Smarties.
Yeah, that's
what are those things called? The
conversation hearts.
Yeah, conversation hearts around.
That's
February,
what most people
14th.
have said. Those little hearts you get for Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Or you buy yourself, whichever. This is a no judgment zone.
You buy yourself Valentine's gifts.
You know what? You can love a lot yourself. No, I'm joking. I do buy my friends Valentine's gifts sometimes.
All right. Well, I think it's time to move into our trivia round. And is Manny going to be involved in the trivia today? I think so.
You can if you'd like to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Play the give Dave Summa to talk about file. And now it's that time of the show where we give Dave Summa to think about, and he gives it right back.
How do we pick that? How do we pick that music for it?
Okay.
I feel like I'm on the Love Boat whenever I hear that.
So the thing is, royalty-free music.
Yeah, you get what you pay for.
Yes, and also what we paid for back in the 80s, I'm pretty sure, is that Love Boat music. So, yes.
All right. It is kind of lounge singerish. I don't know. But hey, it works. It's our music, and we like it. Okay?
I mean, would it be Back to the Father without the Love Boat theme song?
I don't think so. All right. So you want to do our regular round of trivia question? Okay. So
Victor says the music is perfect. So just saying. Thanks, Victor. I spent about 2 hours looking for it one day.
I like Victor's a very affirming guy. All right, William, you're up.
All right.
First trivia question.
So my trivia comes from the web. This is from the American Addiction Centers. Probably know what that is. Or where I'm going with this. So probably will be about 3 questions. That's 3 or 4.
I told you he increases.
Yeah. So this first one's going to be easy, and it'll get harder as we go, most likely. So
answer early.
Exactly. Yes. So whoever can get it first, or
and Manny's playing too, so we got to be careful.
Yeah. All right. So, what is the most commonly used substance in the U.S.?
Nicotine.
Alcohol. Oh. Yeah. Cecil got it.
So more so than nicotine. Okay.
Because I am TABC certified.
The substance.
Substance is alcohol.
Yeah. According to the American Addiction Centers, it says alcohol is one of the most commonly used substances.
I think
in
nicotine
the
probably
US.
More so than coffee.
Is coffee considered an official addiction?
I think coffee is.
I mean, coffee
would
be addiction.
Caffeine.
Caffeine, yeah.
But does it have the same damaging results that nicotine or alcohol can have?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
So.
I think
caffeine,
that's why I don't think
so.
caffeine counts.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I just like to contest everything.
Victor says iPhone. Because I know it's not a substance. I think that would be accurate, actually.
All right. Next question. Adults aged 18 and older report drinking at least once in their life. Now, what is the percentage of that? How many 18-year-olds and older have had at least one drink in their life?
As a percentage?
As a percentage, yes.
And this is, I guess, in most states, this is they're legal, right?
I think so,
so
yeah.
This is like legally drinking one drink in their life?
One drink in their life.
Victor says 98%. I was going to say probably like 90%.
Yeah, you got to take into consideration, like the Mormons don't drink.
The Baptists don't, theoretically, although some do.
Muslims drink?
That I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I'm going to say 78%.
All right. Sissel got the. You said 90, right?
I said 90.
Okay, you got the closest. It's 85.6%.
Oh wow!
85.6.
And Mark and Forrest both commented 92, so we were in good company together.
90.
Would that be a right answer?
90. No, 90 as well.
Yes. Okay. 90 TWO.
Yeah.
No, TOO.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay.
I need to see. Okay. So this article was last updated on July 18th of this year. So,
okay.
Who in the past year, so, I guess around July of 2021 until now, basically, what is the percentage of people who have had alcohol in the past year?
In America?
Yes,
America. All people?
Of all people.
Of all people.
So
it
was like 86%.
I'd say 72%.
No,
actually, no. Sorry.
I say 89.9.
I'm going to say.
I think it's going to be lower.
I think I'm going to say 68%.
68%?
I'm going to say 65%.
Okay.
Copier.
Okay. You said 68?
And Mark saying 65. We're all going to that 60s realm.
The answer is 69.5%.
So you got it again. This is rigged. You guys totally talked about these.
I want to pull out my TABC license and be like, hello.
She does want to be a bartender.
I have, I bartend at home. And for
all right, I have one. There's one more.
One more. The gifts just keep on coming.
Yeah. And this is another percentage question. So, in the past, who has had in America? Who has had alcohol in the past month? Percentage.
He's going to who's had it in the last 20 seconds.
In the last month? Oh, it's got to be like.
In the last month. Let me guess first, okay? Because then she can't accuse me of stealing an answer, okay? I'm going to say 50%.
Okay.
In the past month, which percentage of Americans have had alcohol?
In the past month, which America?
Yeah.
Oh.
Next time it's going to be in the last. Yeah.
I'm going to say like 36%.
36. Okay. Manny, do you have a guess?
So like this is the Price is Right. So I would say 50.9%.
Oh, look at that. Go 50.1.
50.1.
Yeah,
That's it.
don't let that point.
Sorry.
Yeah.
50.1%.
Okay, 50.1. You said 50.
I said 30 something.
30?
39 or something
Okay.
like that.
I said 50.
Okay. It's 54.9%.
man, he stole it.
Forrest also guessed 50, so he
Okay.
was
Let's go,
close too.
Jesus up in the. No, sorry.
Yeah, 58. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Boy,
That's hysterical.
those were good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
Well,
Yeah.
going off of, I'm just assuming I'm going next, by the way. Sorry
Yeah,
if that was
we're
not
going
around the table. Okay.
clockwise. Yes.
So I also kind of went off of the alcohol one because I thought that was the easiest one to find trivia about. I decided to look up, though, the weirdest or most unique alcohol liquor laws across the world. And I have some pretty funny ones. And I'm going to say it, and you're going to try to guess what country this
country?
came from.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Around the world, just any
Just
country.
around the world. If we're struggling, I might give some hints about continents.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
This
Okay.
might be okay. All right.
Better
First
tough.
one. Did you know that in a particular? Could you want me to go ahead and give a potential country, like continent?
Sure. Yeah.
I'll say
why
okay.
not?
I'll say this one's
As
in
long
the.
as it's not like
This
Australia.
is in the
'cause that kinda
Americas.
gives it
I'm going to
away.
say this is in the Americas.
Okay. Okay.
Drunk drivers face a firing squad.
Let's see. It's going to be something Central America.
That sounds like Canada, actually. No.
Victor
under
guessed
Trudeau.
Singapore before I think I said where.
No, it's Central. It's in the Americas. I'm going to say Colombia.
I'm going to go with Mexico.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Panama.
He was the closest. It's El Salvador.
Okay.
El Salvador, Central America. Let's go.
Okay.
And then, so yeah, apparently, even on a first offense, potentially you could face the firing squad.
How do they decide? I mean,
because-
to coin toss.
That's a great question, but I do like that this article said that if we instituted that policy here in the States, Hollywood wouldn't exist.
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, oh,
yeah,
yep,
that's
true.
true.
Okay, this one's really funny. Okay, in Europe, what country has banned riding a cow while drunk?
Riding a cow?
Did you say country?
In Europe.
What country in Europe?
Okay.
I'm going to say Holland.
Wow, you just got something against the
No, it just sounds kind of. They got a lot of tulips, and you
Yeah,
want to get
tulips.
trampling the tulips.
I'm gonna go with Lithuania.
Lithuania.
Wow,
All
that's
right.
pretty obscure. They got a lot of
I'm going
cows.
to go with
Yeah.
Texas. I'm just no.
Texas.
I got Switzerland and Romania on the board from our comments.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. Who else? Who's got cows up there in Europe?
Who's got cows?
Well, they only need one.
Norway.
One,
Let's say Norway.
Oh, Norway. Okay.
All right, Norway. Interesting. I was just there.
Is that part? That's part of Europe. That's why.
Yeah,
it's
it's Scandinavia,
Northern
yeah.
Northern
Europe,
area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Those
we
northern
got
people.
Switzerland. It's okay. So it is Scotland.
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 what?
Those
Okay.
crazy Scots.
Scotland. They're doing a lot of drinking there.
Yeah. So apparently, I do want to know. I wish this explained why. Like what caused this law to come into place? Because
It
someone
must-
had to do it and
Oh
cause
yeah.
chaos.
I think
sometime.
thousands had to do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Not just one. Like
Probably was a whole drunken cow riding event, like festival. You know,
Yeah.
they were like, "Nah, this is too much."
I bet you're right.
I bet
you
probably.
they had something
that's like
organized.
The warning labels you get on things, you're like, who did something to make this be a warning
but
label?
they don't face the firing squad though.
Right, they don't. All right. And
Unless they're going down to El Salvador.
back into the Americas again. Bartenders cannot infuse their liquor, and infusing your liquor is like putting some sort of like put raspberries in vodka for several days, and that infuses the raspberry flavor into vodka. I don't know why this is illegal, but you can't do it in this particular country.
Canada.
Anywhere in the world?
Oh,
In
yes,
the Americas.
Oh, in the Americas.
Oh, the
okay.
Americas. Okay. Oh, wait. Why were we saying? Okay.
I say Canada.
Canada. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say Argentina.
Argentina. All right.
Um,
Don't cry for me, Argentina. Any musical lovers out there?
Not now.
I'd say Chile.
Chile? Okay,
Sorry.
Canada, Dave, you're right.
Oh,
So Dave's got a,
finally, I got
Oh,
something.
there you go.
Dave's
Sounds
got
like
a
somebody-
Wait, that means I
point.
get to play
Canada.
this, right?
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I finally feel good about myself.
All right. Okay. So, what Asian country do you need a license to drink?
China.
The only Asian country
What?
you need a
Well,
license?
I don't know if it's the only.
Because here you kind of need a license
Oh,
to drink,
wait.
right? But not, but like a special
Like
license?
a special license, like a liquor license.
Okay, you say Asia,
Officially issued license.
right?
Okay. Let me think.
I'm going to say, is it Asia?
It's in Asia. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm guessing.
You're gonna guess?
Go ahead.
I would say Singapore.
Singapore. All right, interesting.
Good guess.
Mark also guessed Singapore.
I'm gonna say India.
And Japan we have as well.
India.
China.
Dave, you're right again. What?
Man, I'm on a
India.
roll.
Apparently, you have to go and request one.
Is that right?
Which is really interesting. Okay, what European country, if you are driving, you need your own breathalyzer?
Really?
You need to own your own breathalyzer. The breathalyzer.
Europe, you say Europe?
Europe.
Okay, breathalyzer. So it's going to be a very kind of. I'm going to say. I'm going to say Denmark.
Denmark. Okay.
Something Scandinavian because they're really strict. I don't know. Yeah, something Scandinavian.
Switzerland. I'm gonna go with Switzerland.
Switzerland. I'm gonna go Norway again.
Why not?
I keep saying it until it's right?
I don't think Austria would
Victor
do
said
something
he was
like
going to
that.
say Denmark too, Dave.
Oh, is that right?
Sadly, all of y'all are wrong. It is France.
France.
Yes.
okay.
France. France. Yep. So apparently,
Yeah, I can see that. They're pretty
Yeah.
uptight in France.
Yeah.
All right. Which? Well, actually,
Sorry to offend all of our French viewers.
I'm just going to say for this one, where in the world is serving alcohol in a? Okay, it's a particular city within a country. A very well, world-known city. Is it extremely complicated to serve alcohol? And I'll read some of the rules. For instance, that you cannot serve. It's illegal to serve shots after midnight. Serve alcohol in glasses after midnight. Serve 4 drinks at one time after midnight, or serve more than 2 drinks per person after 3 a.m. Which also these are all
Can
after
you give
midnight.
us a continent?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
Just any city.
It's
some big city.
It's a world, if you ever go
big
see
city.
one of those big maps and it was going to show the key cities in the world, this would be one of
you
them.
talk about the top 15
Yes,
cities in the country. I mean the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say London.
New York City.
Yeah, I was gonna say New York City because it sounds like something New York would pass.
Yeah.
I got an Amsterdam on the Rome on the board. Amsterdam. My hint as to why I couldn't give a continent is kind of a good hint, by the way.
It's gonna be in Sydney.
Yes.
Right.
Sydney, yeah. Because I was like, I can't just say Oceania or whatever. So that's what it's called now.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. I think there's more, but I'm going to go with this one, I think. In what European country can married women can only drink 1 glass of wine in public?
What European country? So,
Spain. I'm gonna say Spain.
Married women. It almost sounds like it'd be a Muslim country, but I don't know. Are there Muslim countries in Europe?
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I misread that one. I was looking at the wrong country for this one. South American. I don't know why I was looking at the wrong country.
America.
South American. Sorry, South American country.
Okay.
I was looking at the wrong country for the wrong question.
I'll say, gosh, I don't know. South America seems to be pretty loose
And
with that
why?
kind of stuff.
The reason this law exists, by the way, is to make sure women don't drunkenly flirt with men outside of their marriage. Which does lead why don't the men also have this law?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Should be everyone then, if that's the case.
That's why it's a pretty misogynistic kind of law.
So
I don't know. South America.
Peru.
I'll say Peru.
I'm gonna say Brazil.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Bolivia.
Manny, you got it. Good
You didn't
job.
cheat on that one?
No.
So that was just a
Hey,
small.
wait, that means I can do this.
for yourself. All right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really
while
interesting ones.
my colleagues here have focused entirely on drunkenness and drinking, I'm going to bring our conversation back to a much holier thing.
Wow.
And my trivia is about Fatima.
Oh.
Okay, because remember this was the whole basis of the program today. Okay, so some of these are very easy if you know a little bit about Fatima. Some of them not so. So you just first person to say the answer gets a point, and at the end, whoever has the most points is the winner of this trivia round.
Dun, dun, dun,
All
dun.
right, some of these very easy as I
Oh,
mentioned.
boy, I'm
What year
scared.
did Our Lady of Paradise?
1917.
1917. What did I say?
William.
I said 15. I was like 15, 17.
17,
1917.
okay.
Oh, Dave's trivia
let's
stresses
see.
me.
We'll have multiple points allowed for this one. What were the names of the 3 children?
Lucia
Jacinta and
and
Francisco.
Francisco. Oh,
2
gosh.
and 1.
I
Okay.
can't think that fast.
Okay, William,
So I'm
and
done here.
Cecil. Okay. Let me. Okay, William.
I also
and
like that
Cecil.
our poor viewers cannot type this fast.
I know. There's like a 10-second delay doesn't help
They
when you're
get
doing
points
this.
though if they get the
okay?
question right.
Okay. Let's see. What did Francisco and Jacinta die of within 3 years?
Tuberculosis.
Spanish
flu.
flu.
I don't know.
What?
Spanish flu.
Spanish flu,
Oh,
right?
okay, it's the
Spanish
flu.
flu,
Yes,
yeah, Spanish
okay.
flu.
Manny is on the board, tied with Sissel for last place. Or second place, depending on how you want to do it.
Victor wants to know what their last names were.
Okay. How did... okay. Just first person that gets it right, but you can say multiple answers. How old was Lucia
when she died
in 2005?
83. 84, 85, 86.
90.
92,
92,
93, 95, 97. Yes. I'll
That's
take
just
that
like
total throwaway
You
point.
can rattle off ages the fastest. All right. How many times in 1917 did Our Lady appear to the shepherd children?
3. Oh, it's 9
7?
times.
I didn't. What
Five
was the
times,
question?
6 times.
6 times.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't.
May
I
through
can't math
October.
Oh, right.
this quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to math anything. You just
I
have to know
did.
it.
All I heard was how many did the 1, 2, 3, 6.
Okay. What was the date of the first visit?
May 13th, 1917.
All right. Sissel has taken the lead.
As she should.
What was the date of the last visit?
October 13th.
October 13th.
All right.
September,
William,
October.
tied.
You know
We're
what?
leaving Manny in the dust. Okay.
Forgot to warn Manny that we also just roast everybody on this
And
show.
everybody out there in social media land are probably guessing. We're like totally
Mark's just
ignoring
like
them.
laughing.
And
Whoa.
their answers are still coming back from like my first question.
Wait, can you play that audio again?
What is that?
Play the audio again, Manny.
Oh, ouch. Okay. At the second apparition in June of 1917, Mary said what about Francisco and Jacinta?
That they were going to die young, and that they needed to pray more.
Francis, what's his name again?
Well,
I don't remember.
A little bit more specific. What did she say? Yeah, they
crumpets.
would die.
Francisco needed to
what
pray
else?
more rosaries.
Yeah, he needed to pray more roses because he was.
And they go to heaven?
So they
Okay,
go to heaven.
who said heaven?
I did.
He did.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
They would die and go to heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, so
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and give it to...
I feel like I should have gotten like a half point there. But
No hard feelings.
Yes.
All right.
Rosaries are halfway.
Yes, I think so too.
It's a pretty easy one, so be ready, okay? Who can speak the fastest? During the second apparition, Mary showed the children a vision of...
H-E double hockey 6.
Don't do that. Kids, if you're listening at home, okay? Don't make it harder on yourself. Oh, because you didn't want to say the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Okay. What miracle happened in October of 1917?
The
dancing of the sun.
Okay, William.
Wow.
Oh, man.
I mean, I said sun and miracle at the
Okay.
exact same
William
time.
has 6, Manny has 1, Sissel has 5.
Goodness gracious.
Let's see.
Not salty.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe there's a delay coming over to the control room.
What yeah, unlikely. What did the third secret have to do with? A third secret of Fatima.
Pope did have a vision of the assassination of Pope John Paul II.
He got shot on a mountain.
Yeah,
Attempt.
a bishop in white being killed.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
I did assassination attempt. He just did assassination.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say.
And I was more specific.
Yeah. Okay. So you think you got it? Well, I'll tell you what. Just to make it fun, I'm going to give it to Sissel. That gives it a 6-6 score.
okay.
Oh, boy.
With
All
one,
right.
with
just
one
for
question
drama.
to go.
Just for drama.
yeah.
Watch Manny get this question.
This
and win
question
it
was
all.
worth 10 points.
Okay.
That'd be
Okay. Here's
great.
the final question. Okay.
Okay.
And it's a tiebreaker. Manny would have to get like 6 points to win it. So Manny, I think, is
You can make it a 6-point
mathematically.
question.
On what occasion were Jacinta and Francisco canonized? On what occasion did Pope the Pope canonize?
So was it the 100th anniversary of? Yes!
Right. Da, 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 da,
I had just become Catholic.
And
not that
the
long
answer is
before then.
coming through right now, like 1917, like the answer to the first question. These people.
So they got a lot of them right. They did.
They did. Okay. All right. Congratulations.
You
There's
can
no
also
other-
congratulate yourselves.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you, Manny. Thank you, William. And thank you, Sissel. I don't know what the topic's going to be next week, but probably something that
Liam probably does.
William hinted at
Yeah,
in the
what I
show
hinted
today.
at.
Any suggestions? Anything you want to learn about having to do with the Summa? You can always email me if you're out there and you're like, hey, let's talk about this topic. Just email Dave Palmer at grnonline.com, and we'd be happy to pick your topic on the next Back to the Father. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend. God bless you.
Thanks for joining us for Back to the Father. And don't forget, the glory of God is the human person fully alive. If you have comments about the show, email Dave Palmer at grnonline.com.